Louise Comfort is a professor of public and international affairs. She's also a former director of the Center for Disaster Management at the University of Pittsburgh and joins us now from Berkeley, California. Professor, welcome to the program. So at least 4 people dead, more than 100 injured in this quake. But the reality is this could have been a lot worse considering where Japan is positioned.
Absolutely. This is an extraordinary event since it was so close to the 2011 earthquake. What was interesting about this earthquake is that although it was a sizable earthquake, 7.3, of the 2011 earthquake was literally 100 times stronger. And so although there was a small tsunami, it did not generate the major kind of waves that people might have expected from this juncture. And Japan made substantive changes following the 2011 tsunami, but tsunamis are very difficult events to protect against. And there's been a considerable debate about what is the best way to protect. Japan had previously invested heavily in seawalls, but in fact, there's been a much greater shift towards evacuation and timely, rapid notification to people to evacuate, and very importantly, public education, so all people from school children to businessmen to people in residential areas now know to head to high ground. So the communications is really a very critical point.
So if with all these measures that are in place now that have been implemented since 2011, would it have made a difference if this earthquake was the magnitude of the one we saw in 2011?
It's hard to say. The most important change, I think, is the public education in Japan. And what we have learned in Japan is that the seawalls are not foolproof, or I should say wave-proof, tsunami-proof, that it literally takes all strategies because the wave will impact the coastline depending on the jagged coast and how far the water will go inland. So it's virtually impossible to predict exactly where the water will go. And here evacuation becomes a very important factor. There are now new designs of buildings to let the water go through, which has worked in countries like Indonesia. But the preparation, the most important preparation in my judgment, has been both the communications and the public education for the people of Japan to know what to do the second they feel the ground shaky.
Well, do you believe the earthquake we saw 24 hours ago, was that perhaps an aftershock to the quake in 2011? One seismologist says aftershocks can in fact persist for 50 to 100 years.
You know, the seismologists actually disagree among themselves as to which are aftershocks and which are foreshocks. What we do know is that there are a train of earthquakes that occur along the seismic ruptures. And this was, I think 11 years after, many seismologists would not call that an aftershock, but might consider it possibly a foreshock for a larger earthquake to come. And what we don't know very well is what the recurrence rate is of major earthquakes like this. It's been considered about 150 years for sizable earthquakes in the 7-point range, but for the magnitude 9, it's been 900 to 1,000 years. Oh. So we're dealing with events that we honestly don't understand very well.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Professor Louise Comfort, thank you very much.